I love that I have a husband that helps me with all the
That's so
technical
nice.
things.
I need an assistant. Can you send me?
Right? Everybody does.
Actually, I take that back. Brian is assisting me too. So
Okay,
I asked him to share it on my page or his
perfect.
page.
Perfect. Hey, everybody. I am Lisa Stewart, and it is Tuesday, and today is Tuesday Talks. And whether you're popping in live or whether you are watching a recording, if you'll just put in the chat where you're coming from, where you're watching from, I'm in Arizona. Shirley is up in Portland, Oregon, and I'm so excited about my friend today, my guest. You know how God puts unexpected people in your path at just the right time. Um, Shirley's that person for me. And Shirley and I, was 3 years ago.
3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago,
Yeah,
beginning of April.
yeah. I was getting ready to have my 50th birthday. And I had invited Shirley because we're with the same company. And I invited Shirley to come. She couldn't come. She goes, I'll just take a rain check. How many of us say that? And we just like, I like that person. I would like to spend time with them, but I really don't know them. And we kind of make excuses up. Oh yeah, we'll do that another time. And then we never do it again. So when Shirley told me, yeah, maybe someday, or, I'll take a rain check, I will come. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. So one day out of the blue, I get a text message from Shirley and said, I just bought airline tickets. I'm coming to your house on this day. And I was like, oh, okay. And I honestly knew nothing about Shirley. I didn't know if she was married. I knew she lived in Portland and she's with our company, and that's all I knew. And she's a beautiful little firecracker. And I was like, I was excited about it, but honestly, I was intimidated because, women, we get intimidated on stuff like that. So Shirley, I pick her up at the airport, and it was about from 45-minute drive to our house, and we got
Oh yeah,
to know each other.
it was not a short drive.
No. So we got that 45 minutes. We found out all the details on each other. And I think our lives were both changed that day, that weekend.
I would have to agree.
This is my friend Shirley.
Hey, you guys. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for having me on today. I've seen who you've had on Tuesday Talks, and for you to ask me to be on today is such an honor. And so I'm so humbled that you think of me this way. And you guys, it's so true. And I've done this so many times. I've done oh, yes, I'll do that. I'll go meet you sometime. But the reality of it was, I never followed through. I was stuck in the not following through for years and years and years until about 3 years ago, exactly 3 years ago, when and I've known of Lisa. We partner with the same wellness company, right? And to change people's lives. And we met at a bar during one of
Every
our
good story start that way.
yes, every great story starts at I met somebody at the bar. As a matter of fact, Brian and I, my husband and I, not necessarily met at the bar, but our love story started at a bar. That's going to be a different story much later on, right? But I've known of Lisa, and just like what you said, Lisa, I was intimidated because you are such a force. You walk into a room and you have something big to offer people. You're just vivacious and gregarious. And so, I was attracted to that. I'm like, there's something about this person that I really want to know more of or about, right? And so when you had talked about, oh my gosh, I'm turning 50, I'd love for you and Candy, my mentor, to come to my 50th birthday. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so fun. And then you become sober from not being at the bar. You're like, wait, what did I just commit myself to? But I knew after we had left that event, I really wanted to go, but I knew I couldn't make it happen. So I said to you, and I did say to you that I'm going to take a rain check and I'll make it happen somehow. And that was actually the year, and this was the year before we all met in Maui, right? That was the year that do you have like words for the year? Do you ever do that? Like, yep. This is my word for the year. Okay, so coming into that year, I said that my word was not even a word, but I was going to kick fear in the face. Tia Wood,
Ah,
shout out. If you guys watched 2 weeks ago, Tia Wood was on, and she really inspired me to just kick fear in the face. When I'm feeling fear, I know I need to press against that fear. And that was the year that it all started to happen for me, because I made a decision to just press into the fear and say, I don't know anything about this woman. I don't know anything about this couple, because it was you and Gary, right? Like, you picked me up at the airport and I'm like, I don't know anything about them. But just like you said, how like God knew exactly what he was doing when he put the two of us together at that bar on that night, because my life has changed. My life has completely changed. And we all have those people in our lives, right? And you just know, and you just see, looking back, I just see God's hands in that moment. And so I said, who cares if I don't know this person? It's just a weekend. If we don't click, then we don't click. I'm not attached to the outcome, but thank goodness God knew what he was doing. And here we are 3 years later, and I feel like we've done so much life together. It feels like a lifetime, and in a good way.
yes. No, and we've been so many places together since then. And when we were in Maui, and then back in October, we went like our mini retreat. You and Emily and I went to Cabo, and just dove in a little deeper and talked about what do we want out of life? What's our best version of ourselves look like? Who do we want to be in the future? And what's next for us? And I know that was life-changing for both of us.
Yes.
Because we both came home, and we kind of were like, what is next? Because it was down to the last 90 days of the year.
Yeah.
And we're like, what do we want to accomplish? I always say, if it was our last 90 days and life was over, what do I want people to know about me? What do I want to accomplish? And I think you went home and were on fire. And
So are you.
I came back, and I ended up going to a retreat where I met our amazing Live Out Loud tribe sisters. And I just, I think as women, a lot of times we don't get involved with a tribe, girls, or do things because we're so intimidated. And a lot of that comes from insecurities. Like when you say how I walk into a room, you walk into the room and you own that room, and you could take them all if you had to. You command that presence. And sometimes people are intimidated by that. I'm the type, I look at that and I'm like, dang girl, I want those arms. I want and it's like, so I went in and said, let's talk. I want to be your friend. I want to know you. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, she won't like me because, or I'm not good enough because, is that difference of pulling back to pressing in. And, I went to the first retreat, and I came back from that in October. And when I knew another retreat, a mastermind was coming up, I'm like, Shirley, you have to be at this retreat. And what was you're like all these women, and what was your first initial, you wanted to retreat and not go?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I wanted to retreat. I wasn't going to the retreat. I was retreating from the retreat. And I think that's very common for a lot of people, no matter what they look like on the outside. There's so many things that's going on the inside. And, the thing for me too is I remember seeing you at the event in November in Arizona, right after coming home from your retreat with our Live Out Loud tribe. I'm so excited that I get to say ours, right? Our Live Out Loud tribe. And there was something different about you. Like I said, you've always been just dynamic, right? always walk into a room confidently. You didn't care what anybody thought. And that's one of the things that I admire most about you, because I used to, and there are days that I still do this. I used to think, oh my gosh, what is this person going to think of me? And it was hammered into my head every single, like almost every single session this past weekend. We had a virtual conference this past weekend, that you're thinking too much of yourself, right? And how selfish was I to think so much of myself? So I saw you and I'm like, there's something different about Lisa, and I need to know what that's about. So I had a conversation with Brooke Thomas, and I mean, the very first conversation, I knew I needed to be a part of it, but at the same time, I was so fearful. I still held back, and I was resisting. And I feel like you have a lot of people that you partner with who are faith-filled, and just, so I don't even, and I used to feel not embarrassed. I guess I felt guilty about talking about my faith, because I don't want to offend anybody, right? But again, that's thinking about me, right? If I don't speak boldly about it, then I'm just thinking too much about me. So when I had that conversation with her, and I knew I had to be a part of it, but still I resisted. I mean, I resisted up to the day that I was flying into Laguna Beach. Right. I truly, right? Like, I mean, Lisa you can speak to that, but I just kept seeing God's hand in my life every moment leading up to that weekend. And I mean, lo and behold, we get to that weekend and we have this sweatshirt that says Jeremiah 29, which is on my arm, you guys. That's a tattoo on my arm. And that's going to be a different story again.
That's a whole another hour.
Oh my gosh. And it's like, okay, I'm meant to be here. And I'm meant to be here. And again, it goes back to having like a word for the year. And I went into that retreat thinking that my word was connect. Like, I'm going to connect with people. That's why I'm here. And it turned out to be obedience. God showed up in huge ways leading up to that event, and to this day. I mean, if you believe in God, you know he shows up, and you know he is faithful. And he kept showing up, and he kept showing me that this is the path that I put you on, and you either take it or you leave it. And even though I wanted to resist, something in my heart just said, take this and go, and take this and go. So there were several things that happened, signing up for the mastermind, and then leading up to that, and then getting to our rooms with our sweatshirts that just said, I'm meant to be here. And we'll always have those voices in our heads. And that's one of when you asked me to be on this talk with you, Lisa, this morning, I'm like, what am I supposed to talk about? And I literally got on my knees and I said, God, just let me just open my eyes and open my ears and open my heart to what I need to talk about. And this vision of a big prison walls just kept coming to me. And I put myself in a prison. And it wasn't a prison where people put me in. It's me that put myself in there. And I must consciously and intentionally climb out of that prison every single day, because who puts us in that prison? It's us, right? Like, we get in our way. It's not other people who get in our way. It's not other people's opinions that get in our way. It's our way of thinking. And really, it's the mindset. Like, you can have all the skill, you can have all the gifts in the world. You can be the most beautiful woman or man that ever walked the earth. But if your mindset is not the right mindset, and you just think about yourself, you're never going to get anywhere. And so the big prison, that really just kept coming back to me. And to be intentional about climb out of the prison that you've built for yourself, Shirley. The walls that you put in front of you, to the side of you, behind you. And what does that mean to me? It means all the voices that I hear, like, you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not strong enough, whatever it is, whatever lies it is, I put myself there. It's not because of somebody else's opinion that's stopping me. It's because I let that person or those people's opinions
You
stop me.
believed things that weren't true.
Yes, yes.
So how does someone, I know there's someone on here that you're speaking to, that there's someone that is listening to stuff that someone either said to them as a child, or they thought that because they just never felt good enough.
Yeah.
How does that person take those walls down? How does that person get out of that jail and make that decision? What's that step?
Well, I think first, it's like, it's none of our business what they think of us, right? And again, I know that you have a lot of faithful people that you partner with. And if you can just put yourself in a place where you can hear God's voice loudest than anybody else's voice, it doesn't matter what they think, you guys. It matters what He thinks. That's it.
I love that.
And also, it's like, it just takes one person. It just takes one life. And I know you partner with a lot of people who just want to change lives. That's in their hearts.
Mm-hmm.
And if you could just change one life, you got to press against the fear. And if I did not press against the fear to meet with Lisa in Arizona, I would not be here talking to you today. And honestly, I would not be changing lots of people's lives. And
that's what I love about you, Shirley, is, in fact, if people go down on my page, I posted your before and after, your physical before and after, which is, it's amazing. It is a amazing transformation. But this transformation of your inside, that's what I love, because our program works on anyone. Anyone's going to lose weight. That's not the thing. It's getting rid of the weight that's inside.
yes.
That's holding us back from being our best. The weight that's up in our head, that's keeping us in that prison. That weight is we're getting rid of.
Yes.
And you are helping so many people and inspiring so much. And you know what I love about you, Shirley, is here in the middle of pandemic, crazy times, and you've had to shift your whole life. You've been a trainer at a gym and working out and doing, and you're like, okay, now what? And I know some people can say, poor me, this happened to me, but I see you saying this happened for me. How can I make other people's lives better? How can I, and you started up a whole new movement, tell us about that.
Oh, well, okay. Yes. You're right. We can choose to see what's happening to us, or we can choose to see what's happening for us so we can inspire other people. And that's really what happened is, one, I'm part of this tribe. I'm part of this mastermind with you, Lisa, with our fearless leader, who just inspire and pour into each other. Right. So it's like, okay. And listening to the promptings for me has been the biggest shift. And you're right. Like, there was such a huge transformation physically, but I was so bogged down by what was happening up here and what was happening in here. So once and again, it's like a conscious choice to constantly, daily climb out of the prison that I built for myself. And I'm like, how can I show up for other people? How can I use the gifts that I have, the skills that I have to serve other people? It's not about me. It's not about me. So I started an I Thrive page because I choose to thrive during this pandemic than just survive. And, I hope whoever is listening to this hears my heart. I'm not minimizing what people are going through. What I am trying to do is to bring value. And I know that I do bring value to a lot of people. I mean, it went from 13 people to over 200 people in less than a week. And that showed me that people needed something. People needed something to grasp onto, to hold on to keep them moving forward, right? And what I see is people want to move forward. They don't want to stay stuck.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to stay stuck. And I didn't want to stay stuck. And I don't want to be just like, well, I'm fine. I'm good.
I'm good.
I didn't want to be just, I'm fine. I'm good here. And the honest truth is, Brian and I are so blessed, but we wanted to give back, and I wanted to give back. And, I feel there's a lot of people who are suffering right now. And how can I use the skills and the gifts that God gave me so that I can serve them? And that's how it all started.
So they can find that. We can put the link in here. It's
Yes.
I Thrive Tribe.
Yes.
And also tell us about your workouts. You do another page that people can do, basically train with you, but online and pay. And this is what I love is when Shirley was working on this, she's like, I want to do this. And it wasn't about, I want to do this to make money. Her thing was, she's like, Lisa, I want to do this because I want to make money to give to these organizations to feed people. I love her heart. So tell us about that.
Okay, so I basically started I Thrive Tribe as a 2 weeks. And so it was going to be a 2 weeks thing. I was going to be done after 2 weeks. And I showed up every day at 7 a.m. to share workouts, right? Like, we don't need a gym to get in shape. There's an energy that's different, right? But where we are right now in our lives, it's crazy. Things are crazy. And so I wanted to show up for people for 14 days, which after that, yes, towards the end of those 14 days, I just kept getting messages and people are like, how can we continue? How can we continue? And so part of me was like, okay, I should continue. But if I do, I want to be able to donate part of the profits. And I was able to donate 50% of the profits to Salvation Army, which we ended up as a collective feeding more than 400 people. Also,
that's amazing. Seriously. That's amazing.
Yeah. And so you just show up. Like, it doesn't matter what skill you have a skill. And that's one of the things too. I used to look at Lisa. We all can look at Lisa and say, she has all these skills, she has this, she has that. I wish I was that way, or I wish how can I be more like Lisa? No, let's stop doing that. What do you have inside of you that was gifted only to you, that's unique to you? We are all so unique. We are all so gifted, but we have to tap into that and use those skills, use those gifts to serve the world. And when I finally put my blinders on, and really that's what has to happen, right? You have to put your blinders on, stop comparing your life to everybody else, and look at what you have and how can you serve people. And once I started to do that, Lisa, it's been a crazy, amazing, humbling journey so far.
I love it. And I love, you guys haven't seen the end of Shirley. Shirley is working on some really amazing new stuff coming up. And we are partnering on several things coming up. So you'll want to keep watching for that. And, if one thing is, women, I want to encourage every lady out there to, if you don't have that friend, if you don't have someone that you can call and say, Shirley and I text each other, if not every day, whenever. She's like, hey, what do you need prayer about? Do you have that friend? Do you have a friend that you can say, you know what, you're on my heart, here, can I pray for you right now? Let's FaceTime. Mm-hmm. And she's that friend that does that for me. Mm-hmm. And I do that for her. And had we not been in a bar 3 years ago, and we would have been there, but had we not pushed in to the uncomfortable,
yes,
and if we had not said, broke that wall down for that jail, and thought, oh, she's this little tiny cute little thing, she's young, she's this, and there's so many things I could have said, but no, and I was just like all in. If she doesn't like me, you know what? That's not my problem. That's her problem. It's her loss. And go to the next person. Yeah. But what if she does like me?
Yeah.
What if we make this amazing friendship? What if we become soul sisters and change the world together?
And that we are doing,
Yes,
right?
yes,
Um, it's so much more, it's so much easier to stay in the comfortable.
yes.
It's so easy to stay there. And that's another reason why I have to constantly, we both have to constantly climb up the prison walls
Yeah,
because it's comfortable. It's like, hey, I'm good here. But everything I ever want is on the other side of that wall.
yeah.
And I don't want to stay in here.
And had you let that uncomfortable the day you bought that airline ticket to come to my house, both our lives would have been different. If you would have let that uncomfortable, when I said you need to go to this retreat because you saw something different in me, if you would have let that uncomfortable, that wall hold you back, that would, we would both be different people because of that.
Yeah.
It's kind of, so I want to encourage every woman out there today and men, but most of, I know you watching are women. If you're looking for a friend, if you want to be part of a tribe, if you want, you know what, one, pray about it, think about it, and then just start being open to who that person is. Shirley would not have been the person I would have thought would be that person. I mean, because she was way up here in my book, and I would have been intimidated
Way
by
up here on my book, right? It's
so
like,
yeah. And we would have both never, if we wouldn't have got uncomfortable and pushed into the uncomfortable, we never would have had this relationship, friendship that we have now. So I want to encourage all of you out there, let go of what's going on up in your head, work with breaking those walls down, get out of that jail cell, that you're in a cage that there's no door on.
yeah.
And just find that person. And if you guys know Shirley, maybe Shirley's that person for you. Maybe you've been intimidated by Shirley. Maybe you know me and you've been intimidated by me. Now you know Shirley says I'm nice. But
So nice.
yeah, but seriously, reach out to us because that's our heart. Our heart is to help other women come outside their shells, come outside their jails, come outside and help you make a difference for someone else.
Yes, yes, amen, sister. I have nothing else to add. I mean, that's really it. It's we talk ourselves out of our greatness because of somebody else's opinion way, 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 way long ago, right? And I allowed myself to stay stuck in that because it was too comfortable to get out of it. So it's one, being intentional about making that decision that I'm done making excuses. And I did, right? I mean, both of us did. I'm sure at some point in your life, Lisa, you were making excuses, and you were talking yourself out of things that you really wanted to do because it wasn't comfortable. But everything that whatever you're dreaming of, whatever you wake up in the morning thinking about every single day, and you go to bed thinking about that, maybe tomorrow I'll find the answer. Maybe tomorrow I'll start. Maybe tomorrow I'll reach out to that person. You got to start now.
I love that. So if you guys are on here watching, first of all, we don't see who's on here. So, but just put some hearts in the chat. Just put a heart in there because we're all about love. We say share love, not COVID. But seriously, because give some love out and quit holding yourself back. Know that we see you, not literally, but we will see. But we see what you're going through and we've been there. Yeah. We still deal with it some days. Yeah. And, there's some days we're still like, hey, pray, I kind of feel like this today. Yeah. And we're here for you for that too. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you, Shirley.
Thank you.
For joining and
Thanks for thinking of me.
Yes, because you know that we love you and Brian and Cooper.
I love
And
you and Gary and all your kids and grandkids.
yes, so I'm gonna have Gary go ahead and hit the button.
All the K's, all the K
Yes,
names.
yes. G for Garrett and Gary.
Oh yeah.
Yes. All right, we're gonna.
Thanks everybody.
Guys.